What's up, guys? It's Dr. Jim. I am your CBD expert, your natural health care expert, and your worldwide virtual health coach. And I want to welcome you to tonight's live. Tonight is going to be awesome. I know you're going to be excited. I'm excited about it. And the reason why I'm excited about it is it's a big one. It's a big topic. I've gotten a lot of requests for it. Tonight's topic is CBD oil and ADHD. All right? If that's something you wanted to know about, I'm glad you're getting on. A lot of people have requested it, and I'll tell you, it took a lot of looking, and I think you're going to be surprised when we talk about the answers here. All right? So tonight's topic is CBD oil and ADHD. When you're getting on, if you wouldn't let me know where you're coming in from and whether you're watching it live, because I gotta know, are you getting the full energy of Dr. Jim live? Are you watching on the replay? But either way, tonight's going to be awesome because you're here and I'm here and we have an awesome topic, and we're talking about CBD and we're talking about ADHD. All awesome stuff to know about, all right? Now, the disclaimer for tonight is I am not your doctor tonight. You are not my patient tonight. And there is absolutely nothing about this video that constitutes a doctor-patient relationship. So please do not change anything about yours or your child's or anybody that you know's current medical treatment because you heard me talk about something cool on this video. All right? Thanks everybody for getting on. I appreciate it. So tonight's topic is, part 2 of the disclaimer is CBD oil is a natural supplement. It is not a drug. Therefore, it is not intended for the diagnosis, treatment, or cure of any specific disease or condition, including anything that we talk about during this video tonight. All right? Now, the title for tonight is CBD oil and ADHD. Why is that important, right? Well, it's crazy because I always look up stats of whatever I'm talking about because, we know it's a big deal, but how big of a deal is it? Well, currently about 11% of children between the ages of 4 and 17 are considered ADHD. All right? I mean, does that blow your mind? Literally, 11%, right? That's roughly 6.4 million children ages 4 to 17 are considered ADHD, all right? That shocked me, man. That made me concerned. That made me want to talk about this. And that diagnosis, that's up 42% in the last 8 years, all right? 42% in the last 8 years. So anything that increases that much in that short period of time, we know cannot be connected to a genetic cause because genes, it can't turn over that fast. So it must be environmental, right? Now, there's also roughly 4% of adults that are considered ADHD, all right? So, if you don't feel comfortable, I totally get it. It's totally fine. But if you're an adult suffering with ADHD, just put a 1 in the comment box, all right? Just put a 1 down there. That way I know, because listen, or if you have a child or someone in your family that has been diagnosed with ADHD, put a 2 in the comments, all right? So a 1 if you're an adult with ADHD, or a 2 in the comments if you have a child or someone in your family is diagnosed with ADHD. It's a big deal, all right? Now, the costs, all right, for somebody, a person with ADHD is about $14,576 per year, all right? Come on, this is expensive. So not only is it causing all kinds of, social problems, etc., but it's literally it has all these kind of problems, but then it also has, it's financial, man. Over $14,000 per person working with people that have ADHD. That's a lot, especially if you had it. Now, the most common treatment, they want to have talk therapy and behavioral modifications and education and those kind of things, but then medications, the number one medications prescribed are typically what are called CNS, which stands for Central Nervous System, CNS stimulants, and like Ritalin, all right? Now, here's what I want you to understand about Ritalin, okay? Ritalin is a Schedule II narcotic. Now, what does that mean? Well, how about we throw in a couple other Schedule II narcotics to give you a concept. Cocaine is a Schedule II narcotic. Morphine is a Schedule II narcotic. Amphetamines are a Schedule II narcotic. So Ritalin is serious business. So it's not just like, oh, I'm just going to, just start taking Ritalin, or I'm just going to throw my kid on it. I know anybody on here who's had to put their child on it. I know you didn't do it just without thinking about it. Like it's scary. I get it. So it's just scary stuff. So what if there was a natural substance that had no side effects? It was non-toxic, it was non-addictive, it was natural and good for you, and might help with the symptoms of ADHD. That'd be awesome, right? Yeah, that would be, right? Well, so here's the deal though. There are very few, if almost no, studies that actually really done on ADHD and CBD oil. Like almost none. If anything, there was some marijuana studies done, but it was really confusing and nobody really knows, does it help, does it not help? So you're like, well, doc, this is a pretty short video. We were going to talk about CBD oil and its impact on ADHD, and you're telling me there's really not any science or studies out there that say whether it works or not? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it's not going to be a short video, because what I want us to do are saying, hey, what do we all, and I'm sorry, I keep looking at my notes because this is important, man. There's people's lives on the line. There's kids' lives on the line. Your next job may be on the line. Like, if you can't focus, if you can't get your act together, it might be awful for you. So here's the deal. Let's talk about what we already know about CBD oil and the positive impacts it can have, and in what areas it can have those positive impacts, and see if we can't bring that back to the impact it can have on ADHD, all right? Now, let's see here. So, hold on, there we go. All right, sorry. So, one of the big things is that a lot of people are looking for, like, well, what causes ADHD? So, ADHD is a multifactorial type of condition. There can be a lot of things driving it, but one of the big things that they're finding in the research is that that people with ADHD have a deficit in the neurotransmitter GABA. All right? Now, what I want you to understand about GABA is the calming down neurotransmitter in the brain. So when a nerve impulse fires, there's something that has to calm it down on the other side. All right? GABA is the thing that makes it calm down. So if nerves were to fire uncontrollably with nothing to balance it out, that's actually what drives seizures. All right? So, ADHD, they have found a deficit in GABA. Now, I know there are GABA supplements out there and things like that. This is the problem with them. GABA is often too big of a substance to cross the blood-brain barrier. There's a lot of issues with trying to take it orally. So, let's talk about how CBD oil could have a positive impact. Well, number one is that we know that CBD oil, all right, so inside your body, let's talk about how we can help with neurotransmitters. So inside your body already makes some cannabinoids. They're called endocannabinoids. They're cannabis-like substances that your body already makes, all right? Now, anandamide is one of those chemicals, and anan in Sanskrit means joy and bliss. All right, so anandamide is this chemical your body already makes, an endocannabinoid that your body already makes, and it's a joy bliss chemical. All right, sounds like you want some of it, right? Especially if you have ADHD. Now, here's the deal. See what CBD does is it doesn't increase anandamide. It doesn't make your body produce anandamide. It doesn't connect to anandamide. CBD does not attach to CB1 receptors. All right? what CBD oil does is there is an enzyme called the FAAH enzyme, which is what breaks down anandamide. So when the joy bliss chemical goes into your brain, there's this other FAAH enzyme that then breaks it down. So, if you just had too much anandamide all the time, you'd just be drooling, right? So much joy and bliss, you wouldn't get anything done. Just be drooling, all right? So what it does is FAAH breaks down anandamide. Well, guess what CBD oil does? If you don't have enough of this joy bliss chemical, there's a problem. So CBD oil, what it does, CBD goes and it blocks the FAAH enzyme. So when you pump out anandamide, it stays in your brain longer. That sounds awesome, right? Now, here's where that goes to the next step, because the primary excitatory chemical in your brain is glutamate, all right? It's what makes your nerves fire. And if you got too much glutamate and they're overfiring, then guess what? Yeah, you could be super hyperactive. Unchecked glutamate firing of your nerves is what causes a seizure. It is a seizure because it's just firing uncontrollably over and over and over and over again. All right? So excessive glutamate in the nervous system released at the neurons causes an overfiring or too much excitation of the nerves. Sounds a lot like attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, doesn't it? Right? Well, here's the deal. Guess what? Anandamide, that joy bliss chemical we talked about, remember CBD blocks FAAH and allows more anandamide to float around in the brain? Anandamide connects to CB1 receptors. And when it connects to CB1 receptors, it reduces the amount of glutamate released from the neurons. Remember, glutamate causes excitation. So by activating the CB1 receptor, it blocks how much glutamate's coming out, so you reduce the excitation factor at the nerves. What? Isn't that awesome? So literally CBD oil creates an increase of anandamide in the brain by blocking the enzyme that breaks it down. Anandamide connects to CB1 receptors, and CB1 receptors then block how much glutamate gets pumped out into the nerves, so it lowers excitation and increases joy bliss. Stop it. Right? Is that ridiculous? It's awesome. Now here's the other thing that we want to know. Is CBD oil, because what did we say? That ADHD is like a deficit in GABA, right? Well, one way that you affect the deficit in GABA is if there's an imbalance in excitation, and so glutamate's up here, GABA's down here, there's a big difference. Well, if you can bring down glutamate, we just did it, well then guess what? Your deficit in GABA is not as much. Now, what does CBD oil do with GABA? Well, it attaches to the receptors for GABA, and it increases the receptor's affinity for GABA. All right? So basically, it makes it easier for GABA to attach to receptors and have a bigger impact. So the same amount of GABA can have a bigger impact and calm things down. So now what we've done is we've decreased the excitatory stuff and we've increased the calmer downer stuff. And do you think that would be good if you had ADHD? Heck yeah, it would. That'd be awesome. Now, part two is a lot of people that have ADHD, one of the concomitant things that go along with it is anxiety. Well, a lot of people link anxiety with serotonin levels. And here's what we know, is we know that CBD attaches to the 5-HT1A receptors in the brain and makes them more active to connect with serotonin. So it upregulates those receptors, so you get more serotonin receptors, which then creates less anxiety. We've decreased the excitatory chemicals and increased the GABA, so we have, and if you increase GABA, what do? What causes ADHD? A deficit in GABA. Dude, this is awesome stuff. Are you getting it? Because if you're getting it, put a yes in the comments. I'm excited, man. I mean, I got to tell you, I start going down the rabbit hole doing this research, and I think I start finding out things people haven't even talked about before. People don't even know this. Because this didn't come from a research study. This is, I get one piece of information, I go, you know what? What if that went with this? And then I connect it over here and I go, well, if that works over there, then what about with this? And next thing you know, you start weaving together this picture where if ADHD is a deficit in GABA, well, then we have to know that CBD oil can have a positive impact with ADHD because the increase in anandamide lowers the glutamate. And glutamate is an excitatory, so it calms that down. And we know that it increases GABA by upregulating the GABA receptors. Dude, it's awesome stuff. But that's not the only thing, all right? More recently, ADHD has been linked to mitochondrial dysfunction. All right, that's going to need some explanation, all right? Now, as we all know, mitochondria are they're inside the cell, and they're these parts in the cell that produce cellular energy. It's where what's called cellular respiration happens. It's where all products go in there, and your mitochondria turn all those products into fuel and energy, all right? So what they have found out is mitochondrial dysfunction is directly connected to ADHD. Wait, so you're telling me that if cells can't produce energy, then it can cause ADHD? That's exactly what I'm saying. And that's what the research says. Now, here's the unique part, is since these are the places that create, so since mitochondria are what create energy in the cell, obviously cells in the brain need a lot of energy. So they have the powerhouse. So the cells in the brain have a lot of mitochondria. Well, if the cells in the brain, if their mitochondria have blocks and can't produce energy properly, that has been connected to ADHD, that dysfunction. Now, just imagine, what a discovery, first of all, right? But second, here what we want to know about how CBD oil impacts it. CBD oil and the endocannabinoid system could play a major role in the mitochondria. And that is because there are CB receptors. Get this, CB receptors are found on the mitochondrial membrane. Are you kidding me? So literally the very things that help make energy in the cell have receptors on them for cannabinoids, like CBD. And the research has shown that by affecting like the calcium channels of the mitochondrial membrane, that it can help bring homeostasis in the mitochondria, and that is a huge impact on the ability of the mitochondria to produce energy by creating balance in this system. Man, that is so crazy cool, right? How cool is that? So literally, because there are CB receptors on the mitochondrial membrane, when CBD attaches to those receptors, it can help balance how there's exchange across the membrane, and it brings homeostasis to the mitochondrial membrane, and it can help balance out the energy production. All right? Is that cool? Because I sure hope you think it's cool, because like I literally, the research led me to this today, and blew my mind. Like, I am super stoked about this. All right? Now, there is very little research to connect whether CBD oil has a positive impact on ADHD or not. However, I think if you go back through what we just talked about, I made a pretty daggone good case that CBD oil would be awesome for people with ADHD. And the reasons, number one, is how it helps balance neurotransmitters, right? It can increase anandamide by blocking the enzyme that breaks it down. And when you increase that, when you block that enzyme, anandamide goes up. That's your joy bliss chemical. That anandamide connects to CB1 receptors, all right? And then CB1 receptors, when you activate them with anandamide, it will reduce how much glutamate is excreted at the neuron. And guess what? Glutamate's an excitatory chemical. So if you can reduce it, you can reduce the excitation. Sounds pretty important if you have ADHD, right? And then we know that CBD upregulates the ability and the affinity of GABA receptors to attach to GABA. So you take GABA that's already in your bloodstream and you can attach more of it. So you increase GABA. And we know that CBD oil has been linked to a deficit in GABA. All right. Number two, we know that mitochondrial dysfunction is connected to ADHD. And what we also know is that your mitochondrial membrane has CB receptors on it. And when CBD attaches to it, it helps create homeostasis across that membrane, which helps your body regulate mitochondrial energy. Silly. So good. It's just so good. Now, here's the deal. If you have ADHD or you know somebody who has ADHD, I highly recommend CBD oil. Now, once again, the disclaimer, it's not for the diagnosis or treatment for ADHD. But I sure do think it'd be awesome to take it if you have it, because I want better GABA. I want more joy bliss. Like all things I want better mitochondrial function, right? So I think it'd be awesome to take, all right? Now, here's the thing. There's a lot of garbage out there. If you want the CBD oil that I recommend, all right, put info in the comments. If you want the CBD oil that I recommend, put info in the comments. Now, if somebody else sent you to this video and they have a CBD oil they recommend, please get back with them, all right? But if you want the CBD oil that I recommend and you would like to order it for me, put info in the comments. I will, in your messenger, there will be a link to order the CBD oil that I recommend. Number 2, if this video has moved you and you're like, dude, people got to know this message. I want to help people around the country. And you know what? I know this CBD oil, this business of CBD oil is going to go through the roof, and I'd like to help you, Dr. Jim, and I'd like to make a nice little side income at the same time. Then you can join my team and help me spread this message. If you put info in the comments, we will send you a link about how you can join my team. Now, here's the deal. If somebody else sent you this link and you want to help start selling CBD oil, then by all means get back with them, and I'm sure they would love to have you on their team. But if you want to be on my team, put info in the comments, and in your messenger will be a link to take a free tour of the business. Take that as soon as you can. It locks in a spot on my team, and then you and I can connect and we'll talk, and I'll tell you how I can help you with the CBD oil business. And then lastly, all right, if you've liked this live tonight, then you're going to love the webinar I have going on tomorrow night. I mean, you're going to love it, all right? And there's very important reasons why, because guess what? There are very specific minerals, vitamins, nutrients that help your body produce GABA, right? There are a tremendous amount of steps that go into cellular energy production, and a block in any one of those steps will reduce how much cellular energy you can make. Now, we just said that mitochondrial dysfunction is connected to ADHD. Your cells don't make enough energy, you can have that. How many problems, how much obesity, diabetes, thyroid problems, autoimmune conditions do you think could be linked to the inability of the cell to produce energy properly? Right? Like all of them. All right? So, tomorrow night, I'm doing a webinar. All right? And it is about a new test that I'm offering in collaboration with a group of medical doctors in Europe. And what this new test will do is it tests the end products of every single metabolic pathway happening in your body. And by knowing where those breakdowns are, we know exactly what's missing in your neurotransmitter production. So we know if you're not producing enough GABA, and we know why. We know what you're missing, what you need to take to fix it. All right? If your cells aren't producing enough energy, we know where the blocks are from this test, and we know exactly what your body needs to fix those breakdowns. How awesome would that be if you knew exactly where these breakdowns were and exactly what you needed to take to fix them? Wouldn't that be life-changing? Yeah, it would be. I guarantee it. So, tomorrow night, I'm doing a webinar. If you would like to register for that webinar where we talk about a new test, and who's this webinar for? If you are been trying to lose weight, if you have an autoimmune condition, if you have diabetes, if you have ADHD, or your kid does, or if you have autoimmune conditions and you would just finally like to find out what you need to do to fix it, then this webinar is for you. We're going to be talking all about this new test and how it's going to help you fix these broken places in your metabolic processes, all right? It's a game changer. The results that I'm seeing are absurd, all right? I'm talking about literally hearts and kidneys are healing and regenerating. It's so awesome, all right? People are healing from ulcerative colitis and Crohn's and diabetes. And MS, yes, absolutely. You want to be on there, all right? So if you would like to register for this webinar, put info in the comments, All right? Info in the comments and in your messenger. Will's going to send you all the information, but there's going to be a link to register for the webinar. I want everyone who is interested. If you like what we talked about tonight, you're going to love the webinar. If you have a health condition and you finally want to feel better, please go register for the webinar. It's going to change your life, right? I am literally watching people's lives be completely transformed, all without any guessing, because they know exactly what to eat and they know exactly what to take based on their test. All right? All right, Andrea, if you want to register, put info in the comments. All right? Put info in the comments and you will get all the information you need to register for the webinar. It'll be sent to you in Messenger. All right? Go in there. It's tomorrow night. All right? So please sign up for the webinar. If you can't make it tomorrow night, but you really want to, go ahead and sign up anyway. Put info in the comments and register for the webinar even if you can't make it. All right? It's going to be crazy. All right? Now, please, you can just keep putting info. You're going to get an automatic response. I am going to do my best to respond to any questions or anything that you have in here. Put info in the comments. Join my team. Get the CBD oil that I recommend. Definitely register for this webinar. It's gonna change your life if you want to change. If you don't want to change, please don't register, because it literally does. You do have to do something to get better, right? And if people just are looking for information that you don't want to, but you don't want to act, you don't want to do something to get better, then it's probably a waste of your time. But if you really want to do something to get better, put info, and it's going to change your life. Now, I'm going to do my best to answer all these questions, but guess what? My team is playing tonight on Monday Night Football. And instead of being at home watching that, I'm giving this video. So I'm going to close this video up, and I'm going to head home and I'm going to start watching that game, and I'm going to try to answer as many questions as I can while I'm watching the game. All right? So just like I tell my son every day before he goes to school, be your very best today. #never quit. And I believe that God wants the very, very best for you. And the day you believe that could change your life forever. Have an awesome, awesome night.